Hey guys, so I just wanted to show you today that we are going to be solving quadratics, but by factoring. So the first thing I want you to notice on all of these problems up here, and I'll show you the big version here, but all of these problems, everything is equal to 0, okay? And so notice everything has already been factored for us. So what you're going to do, if you take a look like at number 1 right here, you take a look, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, so if x plus 3 equals 0, then x must equal negative 3. Okay, so let me move this so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, you're going to set each one of those parentheses equal to 0. So x plus 3 equals 0, and then you're going to set x plus 8 equal to 0 as well, okay? And you know that x would equal negative 8. Okay, so for number 1, this actually has two answers. It has negative 8, and it has a 0 at negative, if I can get it to move, has a 0 at negative 3, okay? So number 1's answer is actually going to be right here, negative 3, negative 8. And so we're going to put the word y into that box, okay? Now, speaking of why does this work? Okay, if I told you that there were any two numbers that multiplied together to equal 0, what could you tell me about those two numbers? Any two numbers multiplied together are going to equal 0, right? So one of the two numbers is a 0. That's what you can tell me, okay? That's how that works. And so if you think about it, the mathematical term or the mathematics that's behind it is that here is a number, okay, A, and it's being times by B. That's my time sign, that little period, okay? But if those two numbers multiply to give you 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. Okay, that's what that means. And so when we do these problems, each one of these problems basically has in it, um, two numbers. Okay, so let's look right here. Here's a number, x plus 4. It just totally got rid of it. That's amazing. Let's try to fix that. And x plus 11 is going to be 0 there. That's much, much better. So let me see if I can get rid of this one. Yeah, that's much, much better. Okay, so either x plus 4 is going to equal 0 or x plus 11 is going to equal 0. And then when you go through and you actually do the math, right, and you do the numbers, okay, then you're going to end up with two answers. This parenthesis is going to give you an answer of negative 4. And this parenthesis is going to give you an answer of negative 11. Okay? That's how that works. And so you'll notice again that all of these are already equal to 0. Okay, they're all already equal to 0, and they're all already factored. Okay, there are two that I wanted to look at. Number 7, I want to look at, and then number 9, I want to look at. Okay, so let's go look at number 7 really quick. Okay. So when you look at number 7, let me get a different color here. There's an X on the outside, and then there's a parenthesis. So usually everybody's really good with parenthesis. X minus 9 equals 0. That's going to give you a positive 9. So that's pretty easy. But what about this little guy right here, right? What about that X? Okay. That X just means that one of your choices is going to be 0. Okay, I'm not real good at this drawing tool. I wonder if you guys are going to be any better at it than I am. But that's what that means. So x equals 0. So if you plugged in a 0, 0 times 0 minus 9, which is negative 9, that's going to give you a 0. Or x minus 9 will equal 0. Okay, so maybe it's this parenthesis that equals 0, and so maybe x would equal 9. So if x equals 9, you're going to get 9 times 9 minus 9 is 0, and you're still going to get a 0. So this one does have the two answers, 0 and 9, which ends up being this box in here. So this box is going to get a 2, not a Joe. That totally looks like a Joe. Again, I'm hoping you guys are much, much better at this than I am, okay? So let me go ahead and see if I can get rid of all of this at the same time. And let's talk about number 9, okay? So let's see what number 9 says. So number 9 has the two parentheses in it, okay? One of the parentheses is, let's get a different color. Let's go for a nice purple. Ooh, let's go a little bit darker. Okay. So 2x minus 1 and then x plus 4. So here are the two parentheses. Look at that. I just picked the same color as the other one. Silly me. All right, 2x minus 1 and then x plus 4. This is when I really wish I had a stylus. Okay, so this parenthesis is going to equal 0, right? So 2x minus 1 equals 0. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Right? I get 2x equal to 1. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And divide both sides by 2. So one of my answers is x equals 1/2. Okay? And then this parenthesis is going to give me a -4. Notice how I just did the opposite sign of what was in there, and that worked out kind of nicely. So I'm looking for a 1/2 and a -4 for this one. Oh, there it is. It's right underneath the other one that I did. So this is going to be an is. Okay, let's try that one more time. So let's go do number 15. Let's see if I can pick a different color this time. That's not so much like the other one. Okay, so number 15. So this time we have two. Oh, why isn't it blue? I totally picked the blue. Hit save. I don't know. It's just like in this other one, huh? So weird. I'm not sure how to get that to work, but okay, let's try it out. Let's just draw a line. We'll make that a little bit different. All right, so 2x minus 5 is going to equal 0. Okay, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Hope you guys watching me try to figure out how to make this mouse move. So 2x equals 5. Let's go divide both sides by 2. And you get 5/2, okay? I don't even care what that is as a decimal. I'm going to leave it as a 5/2. I'm going to show you why here in a second, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to show you right now. So I'm looking for a 5/2 somewhere. And so I'm thinking it might be this one right here, okay? And honestly, that actually is it. So I want you to go take a look really quick at number 9, right? So number 9, we got a positive 1/2. So we changed the sign and we got a 1/2. Was that 1 over the 2, right? For this one, instead of a positive or a -5, like the minus in the middle, we ended up with a positive and we got 5 over 2. Okay, so this answer is definitely reason. It is definitely this answer to number 15. These two match, but let's see if we can see why. So this was a negative 1/3. So if you look at this parenthesis, negative, you got to do the opposite sign, 1/3. So that's a good way to do like a shortcut through that. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and see if you can figure out the rest of this riddle, and let's see how you do. Okay. All right, so I wanted to touch base with you again and just show you really quickly a couple of other things that can happen. So on the second page, it says, what is the title of this picture? And on the page, did you hear about? I want to show you a couple of those problems, okay? So the first one that we're going to do is from the first one that says the title of this picture. This is the first problem. So notice, again, it is set equal to 0, okay? And so what you want to do is you want to go ahead and factor this. So remember, you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you 10, and that will add to give you the 7, okay? And so we end up with, why I used an M just now, I have no idea, but we end up with a 5 and a 2. Okay, so I'm actually going to go change those to A's because that was a little weird. Hunziker is losing her mind. All right, and so now that you have it factored, the equal 0 is going to have you do that one extra step, okay, where you say, okay, well, A plus 5 equals 0, or maybe this is the factor that equals 0, okay? And so then your two answers end up becoming -5 and -2. So basically, if you were to graph this on Desmos, okay, back here at -2 and at -5, this parabola is going through at those 2 points. It has two solutions. Either -5 is going to work or -2 is going to work. And it's going to give you that 0 when y is 0. Okay. The other two questions that I want to do are from the other paper because they are a little bit on the weird side and again, a little bit crazier than before. Okay. So what you have to do for these, so if you look at this first worksheet, I'm sorry, with the title of this picture, everything is equal to 0. Even on the first one that we did and kind of looked at together, everything was equal to 0. But when you look at the Did You Hear About page, none of them are equal to 0. And so your very first step, the very first thing that you have to do for these is to go get it equal to 0. So you're going to have to move everything to one side so that 0 is by itself on the other. Okay, so let's go ahead and go do that with letter D and letter G. Okay, so letter D, I'm going to move this 11m over to the other side. And so I get m squared minus 11m equals 0. Remember, you want to make sure that you put everything in standard notation. So there was a method to that madness when we talked about it before. Okay. So now that you're here, you have m squared minus 11m. We can GCF. What do these two things have in common? They both have an m. So let's take an m out. So I have m and then m minus 11. And here we go again. I know that m can equal 0 or m minus 11 can equal 0. Okay, so my two answers for this one are going to be 0 and 11. Now, I don't know if you've noticed on the paper, they have it looking kind of weird. They have this notation. This is just set notation. They're just showing you that the set of solutions are 0 and 11. So don't let that freak you out, okay? All right, let's go do letter G. Again, I want to make sure that I get it equal to 0 first and that I put it in standard notation, okay? So I'm going to take this 5 and move it over to the other side. So I'm going to do that and subtract it. But when I go to put it in standard notation, I have my y squared, I have my y, and then I'm going to have minus 5 equal to 0. All right, do you remember how these work, right? So I'm going to change this problem to y squared plus 14y minus 15, right? You have to multiply it over by 3. Okay, I know I'm going to get a plus 15 and a minus 1. But then remember, I multiplied by 3. I have to turn around and divide my factors by 3 so that I can get the correct factors. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. Whoops. I'm telling you, she's losing it. So y plus 5. And then if it doesn't reduce, you just slide this over. So remember that slip and slide method I taught you? So 3y minus 1. Okay? And then we know we have two answers. So y plus 5 equals 0. So this is going to give you an answer of y equals -5. And then this one, 3y minus 1 equals 0, is going to give you an answer if you add 1, divide by 3, or do the shortcut, you get an answer of 1/3. So -5 and positive 1/3 are going to be those two answers. There's kind of a lot to it, but I'm pretty sure you guys can handle it okay. Let me know if you have any questions. I would like to see you try and get done half of each of them. So go do let's do half of the title paper and then half of the did you hear about. Okay, and it doesn't matter which half that you do, just do half of them. Okay, all right, toodaloo, happy factoring and solving.